I'd just like to introduce a meeting in Welsh to start with. Noswaith da, y cynghorwyr Mike Priestley a dwi, I fi y cadeirydd y Pwyllgor Trosolwg a Chraffu Economi a lle. Gai groesawu bawb I cyfarfod heno. Back to English. The meeting will be live streamed and recorded and will be available for viewing after the meeting. Should the live streaming fail, the meeting will continue and a recording will be available through the Council's website following the conclusion of this meeting. Can I remind members that translation facilities are available and for those attending on Zoom to choose the language of your choice. For those wishing to speak in the chamber, please raise your hand. For those on Zoom, please use the raised hand function. We will alternate between speakers in the chamber and on Zoom. For those attending remotely, please note that those in the chamber will be unable to use the chat facility. Committee members who are attending remotely are required to leave their camera on throughout the debate and when voting in order to maintain the integrity of the decision-making process. If you do need to leave the meeting temporarily, pop a message in the chat function so the Democratic Service Officer is aware and then let us know when you return. I expect everyone present and participating in this meeting to conduct themselves appropriately and respectful to each other. That applies to members, officers, and anyone in the public gallery. So before we start the meeting proper, I just want to say tonight that we have two, in my opinion, heavy and meaty reports to discuss. And we also have some scrutiny committee members in attendance from education and social care scrutiny, and I welcome you here tonight. I would politely request that your questions are precise and directed to the officers and the cabinet member. I would also like to point out that any members here tonight that sit on the planning committee, just to be careful not to stray into any planning matters. So if I go to the main agenda, I want to go to item 1, which is apologies for absence.
2 apologies from Councillors Mandy Hawkins and Alan Hunter.
Thank you very much. Item 2, declarations of interest, Code of Local Government. Before we go to declarations of interest, could I just hand over to Matt, who would like to say something for us?
Yeah, Chair, it's actually just on declarations of interest. There will be a number of members here this evening who are governors of schools, and to save time, everybody declaring individual interests in that regard. We will make a note of those, and it will be a personal interest only for the purposes of the minutes.
Councillor Gale.
I'm a patient at Cadogan Surgery, which is going to be coming up. And we have somebody from there speaking. Would that be regarded as conflict of interest?
My advice on that, Chair, to Councillor Gale would be, I think in the context of this paper, which is an evidence-based background paper, that will obviously go towards establishing the policy base within the deposit plan, that wouldn't give rise to a personal and prejudicial interest. But it is wise that you've declared a personal interest.
Thank you.
Councillor Sherrill, I take it that you're declaring that interest. I've got Councillor Chris online. You're declaring an interest, Chris? You're on mute.
Yes, I am, Chair.
Yeah, okay,
it's
thank
the
you.
Same interest. I'm a patient at Cadogan.
Thank you. Anybody else online? I can't. Can you see it? No, that's fine. So we've captured those. Simon Croft, yeah. Declaration of interest, Simon. We've captured that.
Yeah, school governor, Pennebryn and St Joseph's.
Okay, yeah, lovely. Thank you. Bernice.
Stand up. Gwydir Medical Centre and Ysgol y Forwyd.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Bernice. Key Fields.
Yeah, patient at Gwych Medical Centre and Governor Ysgol Llanddylus.
Okay. Thank you. So I take it you're all going to behave yourselves tonight because we've got your doctor here. Yeah, I think we've captured all the declarations of interest here. Councillor Chris Cater.
Sorry, Chair. I think nearly all schools are mentioned in the education report, so I better put that I'm governor of Yscol y Cray then.
Yeah, he's as I said, Chair, to save time on all governors declaring interest, we will note those
You'll just
for each and all
Okay,
governors.
thank you.
Okay, Chris, thank you for that. So, urgent matters.
No urgent matters, Chair.
Item 4, question to cabinet members.
Questions.
Okay, so we go into item 5, and this is to consider a report by the Head of Regulatory Services on the following matter, which is the Replacement Local Development Plan, the RLDP, and that's background paper 44, which is you can find on pages 3 to 39, and it's regarding the population change, housing and health, primary care impact. Before we consider this report, I've received a request to speak at our scrutiny meeting tonight from Dr. Emma Ratchford regarding infrastructure and capacity. Dr. Ratchford, would you like to come down to the podium? You'll have 3 minutes to address the councillors in the chamber and online.
Well, thank you very much for having me to speak this evening. I've come over concerns for capacity at Cadogan Surgery, but obviously for the wider primary care population of the area. And we were particularly concerned at the surgery, having had some discussion with the health board and yourselves last year, to have put forward after that meeting our feelings that we'd explained. I think you've all got the letter, the ways that we could increase capacity at Cadogan. And so we were very concerned to find on your document for this evening the suggestion that Cadogan will be operating a branch surgery as part of the way to increase primary care provision. And we absolutely would not have any appetite for running a branch surgery. So it was really to speak and put it as a matter of record that would not be something that we would be able to do. And the concerns that we would then have the domino effect of increasing local practice populations where they're perhaps not managing so well at the moment. That was all that I wanted to say. Thank you. But I'm happy, I think, to ask questions now.
I just well, first off, I have to say thank you very much for taking the time out to share your concerns, and I would like to go on record. I think these concerns are probably shared in areas of parts of Conway, Wales, and indeed probably the UK. We had a chat before, and we're not going to have a massive debate on this. So what I'd like to do, if there's any sort of burning issues regarding questions to Dr. Ratchford, I'm happy to take some questions if you're okay with that. But before I do that, I just want to say that an invitation was extended to Alison Kemp from Betsy Cadwallader regarding health matters. Unfortunately, she's on annual leave. However, she is happy to answer any questions coming from tonight's meeting. And could I ask if there's any member with any questions after we've gone through the report from the officers, if they could email them questions to Dawn Hughes, who will gather all the questions up together. We'll forward them off to Alison Kemp, and Alison has promised to answer them questions and to come back to us. So I would probably imagine that obviously the points you make about your area and the satellite and etc. That'll be probably number one question going over to. Yeah, and of course it's worth mentioning that, you know, this is a background paper that feeds into the bigger picture that as we go along. So basically I've had my say there. So really, if there's any issues to or just a couple of questions to Dr. Emma Ratchford. Okay. Gail, was it? Sorry.
Yeah, not a question. It's actually to Dr. Emma. the infrastructure and housing should have equal importance when we're looking at the RDLP, you know, and in Old Colwyn in particular, obviously it hasn't, because, you know, basically we haven't got the capacity for new patients. So what is going to happen to them, which is a question I will put to ask. And I will fight as hard as I can to make sure that the infrastructure is put in place for the residents of Old Colwyn before we start building any houses.
Okay, that's a fair point, and perhaps so you could take. I won't take that just now, James. Perhaps a little bit later on into the paper,
Okay.
you could
Yeah.
say that, ask that question.
Okay.
I've got a member of the committee, Councillor Chris Hughes, online, and then I'm going to come to Councillor Cheryl. You're on mute, Chris.
Oh, can you hear me, Chair?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cheers.
sorry, I thought I'd unmuted and I must have remuted myself at the same time. Yeah, I'm hoping this isn't coming as anything new, because I know it's been raised with both Betsy Cadwallader and with our planning officers. In the letter from Dr. Parry last week, I believe, was a suggestion that preferred option in the long term would be a new purpose-built premises in Old Colwyn for Cadogan that would allow for the expansion of the practice. Has any consideration been given to a merger with West End medical practice?
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that question, Chris. But I really want to stray away from site specific. But yeah, if Dr. Emma would like to answer that, if you can you just make sure the mic's on, please.
The short answer is no. I'm not sure how that would work. That would make a very big journey from patients living in the east side of the practice across to West End. And I don't think Cadogan would want to merge with West End, but nobody's formally asked us that question.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And Cheryl?
Thank you very much, Chair. Mine is just one question to Dr. Emma while she's here, along the lines of Councillor Chris. What you're saying is you would need a new build surgery in Old Colwyn to take any more patients, is basically what's being said.
We're full. When we extended in 2019, one of the stipulations of highways was that the practice population didn't rise above 11,300. We are up to 12,000 because of taking patients from practices that closed locally. So we're full. We have all our rooms in use every day. We want to train. We have trainee doctors, nurses, pharmacists. It all takes space. And as our population gets older and sicker, then we need more time with all of our patients. So we will need a new building in the future. I appreciate that doesn't come in this part of the plan.
No, that's fantastic. So,
Thank you, Chair. I've got other comments later on in the report.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
thank you for letting me speak.
You're welcome. Well, Dr. Ratchford, could I just say once again, thank you for taking the time out and putting the case forward. And I've said before, you know, we're looking at a population increase of just under 5,000, 3,600 dwellings. It's going to put pressure on all infrastructure, you know, going forward. So I sort of echo what Councillor Gale's saying there. You're more than welcome to stay throughout the meeting. And again, once again, thank you very much for making the points you've made. Thank you. Without further ado, could I hand over to Councillor Chris Cater to introduce this report?
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Cadeirydd. Yes, so it's population change, housing and health, primary care impact of that. So this report, slightly delayed by the general election period, presents background paper 44, and it's for the replacement local development plan. It details I'm going to use the RLDP acronym, growth options, the potential impact on health services, and outlines the policy, existing site implications, and Section 106 contributions approach towards mitigation. In the report, you'll see our population is expected to grow by 4,950 residents. Appended to the report is a statement of common ground between our local authority and Betsy Cadwallader University Health Board. Now, both organisations have worked on this and negotiated this. And as I say, it's combined working that has come up with this. It's not just what we want to put in our aspirations, what we feel is significant, and what solves our concerns, although that has been the thrust from our end, is to get all those ticked off. Our strategic planning group has already requested further information from the Health Board in relation to new facility commitments and timescales, for instance, to Till Field. The Health Board response is awaited, Chair. As well as more patients, existing pressures, the ageing population structure, and the number of residents living with long-term conditions are all factors which we put to the Health Board. The consultation section in the report confirms that production of the background paper has involved extensive engagement and consultations with the Health Board, as I've already said, other healthcare stakeholders, and of course, our own strategic planning group. Elected members will also know that it was presented at the recent RLDP update sessions for elected members and a session with the town and community councils. This report is specifically to identify the impacts and mitigation measures required over the RLDP period, and that is, Chair, up to 2033. It is not the intention of this report before you this evening to delve into specific sites. Elected members will have the final site presentations to look forward to as part of the formal deposit stage, I can assure you of that. However, I fully support the up-to-date evidence-based approach here, and that the RLDP will take a positive approach to new and existing sites. Financial contributions will be sought from the developers, where increased healthcare facility capacity is required, and the report highlights instances where this will probably arise. I also want to emphasise that addressing any medical staffing problems or management issues is sadly outside the remit of the replacement local development plan. I am going to hand over to Bryn, who's got an excellent presentation sitting on my right here. I would like to commend the work that the team's done, the engagement, the collaboration. I think they've accomplished this really well, and I'd like to just thank them, Chair.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that, Councillor Chris. And that's exactly what your last statement there regarding health matters, etc. That's why I extended an invite out to Alison Kemp. Unfortunately, as I said, she's on leave, and that's why I'm asking if members have anything regarding the sort of Betsy Cadwallader side, that they put their questions in an email to Dawn Hughes. So is it Bryn, or is it a joint presentation now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll hand over to you then, Bryn.
Yeah, thanks. Get this moving. Can we all see that? Yeah. Yes. All right. Okay, so I'll just take you through the highlights and the main points of the report, really, just quickly, just to update you all. I know it's a lot of reading with the background paper on the report. So, yeah, so the background to this is the growth that we're proposing through the replacement development plan. You know, almost like Councillor Mike just said, 5,000 residents across the county. And what we have in situ at the moment with the 20 surgeries and the number of patients and things. Rid of that. Sorry.
Right, folks.
Technophobe.
Technical issue.
There you go. Thanks. Yeah, so the issues as we stand, and when we all know that the existing health issues, the healthcare issues, include the existing pressures we've got at the moment. We know that recruitment is an issue, but as Councillor Chris has just said, it's not something that we can address through the planning process. Population growth in general, and added to that the ageing population that we have in the county. And the long-term conditions that patients are dealing with at the moment, which, as the doctor said previously, requires further treatment and longer treatments, and the actual physical capacity of the buildings. So whether there's any room to extend and things like that. So the next table brings us to the projected population increases for the various strategic areas. So we've got the 5 areas. We've got the west, which is obviously Llanfechyn, Penmawr, Dwygyfolchi areas, and there's the growth of 10%, population increase, and the number of dwellings all laid out on the table, and going through with the various strategy areas. I mean, you've probably seen this numerous times with various replacement local development plan presentations. So just through to the bottom, we've got a total there of sort of 3,600 new residents. Moving forward to the health and planning obligations, through the planning process, we can seek Section 106 financial contributions from major residential developments, and we're looking at a threshold of probably 50 houses above for contributions towards health. It has to be in line with the SIL regulations, so it has to be reasonable, linked to the development and required. Cannot remedy any existing deficiencies in the area, so we can't make up for any shortfall we have at the moment. And that is the same with a number of other issues through the local development plan as well. Evidence on physical capacity only, once again, not staffing issues. Financial viability of the development, so that they'd have to do a financial appraisal, which they would do prior to any strategic site being adopted. And again, the proposed threshold of 50 dwellings. So in the west area, we're having 10% of the housing, which is approximately 360 new homes, but that includes the completions we've already had since 2018, committed sites, and windfall, so within the settlement boundary, infill sites, and the new allocation that we're proposing in Llanfechyn. So that's an estimated 495 new residents in total. So the mitigation we have for those are the plasma surgery, the capacity to be monitored throughout the process, as is the case with all of the surgeries, and then any financial contributions, because we've been told that there is a capacity to extend the existing surgery. So we will seek financial contributions where appropriate. The Conway Town surgeries I'll cover in a minute because there's an overlap between the strategy areas. So moving on to the Crathing strategy, Llandudno Junction, Penrhyn Bay, Deganwy and Conway. 30% of our housing, so it's just over 1,000 new homes, again including completions since 2018. So that's 1,480 new residents. And on that basis, the mitigation for the Conway Town surgeries, which have capacity issues. So there's a proposal for a new health and wellbeing hub in Conway at Trosolwg Fields here. And Betsy are committed to delivering that. In addition, they're also looking into a complementary satellite branch in Llandudno Junction. And therefore, on that basis, there are no site allocations required. The Trosolwg Field is within the settlement boundary anyway, and it would fall within our policies to support such development. The other surgeries throughout the strategy area will be monitored, and if any mitigation or 106 is required from any housing developments, then that will be sought as well. So moving through to the central area, 35%, approximately 1,260 new homes with approximately 1,700 new residents. And of course, we know the issues. We've got the West End Medical Surgery, which seems to have more staffing management issues as opposed to capacity, because there is capacity for expansion there. But with Cadogan, we know there are serious issues there. So the surgery is at capacity. We know that. Betsy Cadwaladr are working in the area to sort of mitigate the problems in terms of maybe reducing the patient numbers. I believe there's something like 1,800 patients who attend Cadogan who are not within the catchment area as it stands. So they've been ongoing patient treatment. So there's a few options and in the statement of common ground in terms of community-based approach, more online working, e-triage and things like that, reducing the patient list and maybe tweaking the catchment areas. And then again, a commuted sum will be support from this sort from the strategic site in Old Colwyn. Moving over to the east, so a much reduced number of new houses due to the flood zone issues we have there. So only 740 new residents. And when I say new residents, some of these residents will already be in the patient lists of these surgeries. So it's not necessarily increasing the patient list directly. So in Greek, there's capacity there for expansion. And again, we will monitor that. And if there's any 106 money required, same with Kimmel Bay, but there is a note there to say that because of the flood risk, there's not much in the way of housing coming forward in that area. So moving on to the rural area, so Llanrwst, 10%. We have a small allocation there, approximately 500 new residents. And as far as we've been aware, there's no capacity issues in that area, but again, we'll monitor it through the RLDP process and timescale, and if there's any financial contributions required, they will be sought. So in terms of our approach, we will have positive planning policies for any applications for new healthcare centres, capacity be monitored, and Section 106 required. If it's required, it will be sought. But again, we can't address any staffing issues with that money. So we have this a statement of common ground that is agreed with Betsy Cadwaladr and ourselves, which includes the provision of new and improved health facilities, development of cluster-based services, more of a focus on health and well-being, healthier lifestyles, remote care and technology, like I said before, e-triage and the 111, more efficient use of resources and shared community assets, and spatial distribution and catchment areas, and you know, added to that possible with the catchment area review, looking at patient lists, and then 106 contributions if required. So that's just a quick run through really, and then the recommendations at the end. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Bryn. I think 20 years ago, we went through a local development plan process, and I don't remember, perhaps Chris, you've done more on planning, etc. than I have, but I don't remember as much engagement with the local health board as what we seem to have here, because before it was just emphasising we need 1,000 houses, and we need 1,000 houses. Oh, and what are the implications going to be? But here we seem to be engaging as much engagement is happening with health. Would that be a fair comment, Chris?
Yeah, I think our aim, our focus has been to front load the residential development. So we've got the facilities in place before the houses are built, or you know, it's in tandem. So we're not doing things retrospectively, causing issues and then having to resolve them in due course. So the whole point of this now, you know, has changed. It's far more the mitigation is upfront.
Thank you very much, Chris. I've got Keith Fields online.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Bryn, for the report. I'm staggered with the numbers of the patients in medical surgeries. Myself, as stated before, I'm with Chraffu Medical in Abergele, and to think that they've got 16,000 patients and they operate so well and so I don't know, so slick down there, that I'm really surprised on this. But in the space of a 5-mile stretch between Llandillas, Abergele, and West End in Colwyn Bay, we're looking at nearly 46,000 patients between the surgeries between Abergele and Colwyn Bay, the other end of Colwyn Bay. I think the figures, firstly, I don't understand that if there's, speaking specifically Abergele area now, 540 houses, but then an increase of 740 patients. The houses that are proposed in, for example, in Abergele, 3, 4, and 5 bedroom houses. So are we counting one person per house, and some houses have a second person? I think the figures need, I don't necessarily agree with these figures, but obviously there's a calculation gone on there somewhere, and I think there should be at least double the amount of houses. I feel it should be at least double the amount of patients for the houses. So 740 should be a lot higher than 500 patients. But also, I think we also need to look at the demographics of people moving into the area. Speaking to various people in professions, there's no hidden secret that some people with chronic illnesses do retire to the area, which also put a load on the health service. I'm not knocking them, because people can live wherever they want, but I think the figures should also be calculated correctly, and also people living 11 months of the year in caravans. Also, these are like ghost figures in the surgeries and that as well, you see. So I think we should have a re-evaluation of the figures on what these houses are bringing in, to be honest with you. That's all I've got to say. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Keith. And James is going to come back on that.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Keith. I think there's probably 3 or 4 points I want to raise related to that. And I think, yes, when you look at this from a kind of gross figure, when you look at the housing numbers and think, okay, that's how many people are going to be living in those houses. What we have to do as a starting point in preparing the plan is we have to use ONS population data. That's a requirement in Planning Policy Wales and a requirement nationally. That household figure is around 2.1, 2.2 people per household, and that's the figure that we'll use as a baseline. What we've also got to think about is the LDP runs from 2018 to 2033. So we've already had the plan in place since 2018 to date. A number of those houses have already been built. A number of the population has already increased. So they're already using those doctors' surgeries at this point in time as well. And also the new houses that are going to be built, they're going to be for people that generally potentially may be living in the area already. So if we look at this from a stark figure of this is how many housing we are delivering against this is what the impact's going to be on in particular on health and on the education report, which we'll come on to next, it's not the case. But we have to use that national requirement of the ONS data of 2.2 per household, and then look at what's been delivered already and what the impact will be in the future. So it's not as simple as that stark figure.
Okay, thank you for that, James. It might be worthwhile, Keith. Yeah, Keith, it might be worthwhile perhaps meeting with officers to test out what they've just said now, in as regards what you're saying to what the response has been, and it'd be interesting to see how that comes out. And I'm sure I got nods there where the officers have said they're more than happy to have a chat with you instead of doing the maths here tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And just as well, it just reminded me of the late Councillor Bob Squire scrutinised the caravan sites along the North Wales coast within the county, and there's at least 50,000 bed spaces in caravans as well. So it's also not necessarily on GP surgery, but certainly on the hospitals in the area as well. That additionally there could be up to being conservative on it, maybe 20,000 people through the height of the summer needing hospital services while they're here, you know. So it's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, could I just ask you to take the offer up there to meet with the officers? Just, I'd be interested as well, so I'd be happy to be sat next to you, Keith. I've got
Thank you,
now.
Mike.
I'll just run through the running order. I've got Councillor Tom, followed by David Carr, Chris Hughes, Gail, Cheryl, and Simon. So over to Tom, Councillor Tom.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted a bit of clarity about, I know the document has been drafted in working with the health board, but in terms of deciding which surgeries require mitigation, has that just been, from Conway's point of view, taken at face value of what Betsy have told us, or how have we come to that, to decide which areas and which surgeries require mitigation? Because in the Llandudno one, there's three surgeries there that, one, I'm a patient of, and two, that family and friends are, and all of us in the last year have had difficulty in getting appointments there, but the report says that none of them require mitigation. So if the Llandudno area is taking on possibly an extra 1,100 residents, I just wondered how we've come to the decision that those three surgeries don't require mitigation. Has Conway just taken face value of what Betsy have said, or just interested in that, Chair?
Okay, Tom, I'll let a response come your way.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Tom. I think the issue could be down to staffing and recruitment. Again, from our point of view, is we've worked with Betsy. They've come back and said there are no capacity issues in terms of the increase in population related to housing. Whether or not there are existing issues with regards to doctors' appointments, those sort of elements, could be the other issue. If you're not getting, you're not able to get an appointment at the doctor's surgery. What we've also done is, when we've been working on the strategic sites in the community, we've worked quite closely with the community to ask those questions, what they feel the issues are in terms of impact on community facilities and services within the county borough and within their catchment area. And we have had a lot of points raised around health and again around education and other community facilities and services. So we have fed those back to Betsy as part of the statement of common ground as well. But again, what figures are in the statement of common ground and what mitigation is purely set out from what we've received from Betsy Cadwallader, and it's for Betsy Cadwallader to be working with the local surgeries. It's their role, and then to be feeding that back as part of the statement of common ground. So from our point of view, yes, it's not necessarily face value, but there has been a process to get to this statement of common ground.
Thank you for that.
That's
next.
great, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that question, Tom. David Carr.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I welcome the housing in the county. We have a crisis in housing. We need to build more houses, but we need to get the infrastructure right. And this is where I'm looking at the mitigation. I don't think it's going to be adequate. I mean, when we look at the GP and Cadogan surgeries in my ward, it's not coping. We have chemists, boots closed in Colby Bay, chemists moving out. You can't get NHS GP now. I think even the provision that was Colby Bay Hospital's gone. The roads, I mean, this is one of the things that the council decided to do. We're not resurfacing the roads. I mean, Clistran Road, it's terrible.
Councillor Carr, we're talking about the health here. I don't want to. I did say.
Okay, right. We'll talk about. I'm just.
Okay. No, I'm not going to cut you short. I'm not. If you let me finish, I'm not going to cut. I'm not going to cut you short. But if you could just be a little bit precise and to the point.
Yeah.
I take the points on board, but there's nothing. The planning guys can do anything about the weeds on the road or anything. So if you could be a little bit more precise.
I was talking about resurface of the road actually, but yeah, but on the health side, yeah, I think Cadogan is not coping. West End is under the special measures. I mean, there are sort of residents in my ward that do actually go to West End, and they're telling me that they can't get appointments there now. It's emergencies only. So we need to look at infrastructure, and it needs to be more than a paper exercise. Discussions with the health board, they didn't need to actually deliver. My concern is they won't deliver. Really, and they're in special measures as well. Yet again, I mean, they've been in special measures most of the last of the 10 years. So we really need to look at that, and make sure the mitigation is adequate. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I got your question in there. I don't think there was a question as such.
Well, there was a question, Mike.
Go on then.
The question is that I don't feel that the mitigation is adequate to be able to build these houses, and you say, well, we've got this mitigation in here. I don't think it's adequate. And that's the question. And what do we need to do to sort of make sure?
Okay. I'm gonna put that. Thank you, David. I'm going to put that question to the cabinet member, if that's okay.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Dave. I think where you're coming from is our engagement with the Chief Exec of the Health Board and you know, the Senior Area Director and everything. And I can assure you that our Chief Executive has had, I think it's 3 sessions already with the new Chief Executive of the Health Board. And Councillor David, the Chief Exec, will be coming to the October full council. So, and we're hoping to have a pre-meet as well. And we're going to emphasize that we want a better presence at our scrutiny meetings that are involved with health. There is a vacuum there. I think you would agree with that, Chair. And we want to solve that. So if we could get at least a 6 to 8 weekly engagement meeting between our Chief Exec and the Health Board Chief Exec, and as I say, the Senior Area Director, I think that would go a long way towards helping us get to the root problems here. But, and I don't want to be too political, Chair, but in Wales, we have the highest waiting list, which has just been numbers which have just been announced ever. So I can understand how members who were representing our constituents, and there's a lot of frustration out there, and I fully understand that.
And thank you. So thank you for that question, David. That's and the response from the cabinet member, and yeah, and there's going to be discussions for another day regarding that. So on the list, then I've got Councillor Chris Hughes, followed by Gail.
Thank you, Chair. My question is similar to Councillor David's, in that the proposed mitigation is to around Old Colwyn is to redraw the boundaries, and it's Councillor David's ward and my ward which will be most adversely affected. Already on a daily basis, I'm told by residents that there is no service, or very limited service. Many people are advised that they should go to Glenclwyd, to the out of hours, if they're unwell, because there are often no doctors in the West End Medical Centre. Effectively redrawing the boundaries will just be abandoning the people of David and my ward, and I want to put that on record because I think the public are aware of what's happening, and I'm extremely concerned about what could happen if nothing happens to West End. And I appreciate you don't want us talking about specifics, but the reality is there is no service there for the vast majority of people. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chris. And it'd be good if you could put that in an email to Dawn, and then we can put that.
I'm a member of the strategic group, so I've raised it with James and others on a regular basis at the strategic planning group.
And I'm getting nods here, so they're taking that on board. Thanks, Chris. Gail in the room.
Sorry, just a general one from myself and the other councillors in Old Colwyn, picking up on the point that Councillor Keith said. More houses are being built in Abergele. If patients are moved from Cadogan, e.g. from Lisfern, because you've got a lot of patients in Lisfern who use Cadogan, you know, that's going to cause even more problems further along. It's having a domino effect, you know, so that's something that needs looking at as well.
We'll note that. Yeah, thank you, Gail. I have Councillor Cheryl.
Thank you very much, Chair, for letting me speak, because I'm not on this committee. I've got 4 brief technical questions to send to Alison Kemp, and I've got 1 question to James, And I'd like to thank James and Bryn and the strategic group for all the work they've done on this. First one for Alison Kemp. Betsy's been asked repeatedly for a primary care strategy to cover, but there doesn't seem to be one. Can we ask her, is there any framework laid out? To
Cheryl, could you email them direct to Dawn? I mean, if you want to just rattle through it quickly, because you're not going to get the answer tonight.
So that's the first one. There's no primary care strategy covering the central area. The potential household occupancy, that's been calculated at 1.2 per household, but there's also 2.24 is what the medics seem to think. And I'd like to know what figures Betsy uses, so I shall send that one as well.
Thank you.
And also Betsy's record of delivering new primary care facilities has been very, very poor, with both the Llandudno Junction, as you know, Chair, and the Dinneth Road. And finally, to draw the committee's attention to the fact that they're relying very heavily on the wellbeing agenda. Now, doctors say that takes 20 years to work its way through the system to prevent people being ill and needing their doctors. And that, you know, that's clearly just started its journey. And the question to James, please, is when this goes to deposit, is there a precedent for the inspector to refuse on the grounds of insufficient health provision? Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, there is. So basically, we would need to demonstrate. I think this was raised previously in the past. We haven't had to demonstrate that based on population increase, housing increase, what is the impact and how do we deal with it? Things have changed since the last LDP because we now have to do that quite clearly, particularly around education and health. We need to demonstrate what our impact is, and we have to work with the impact provider to ensure that we can deliver or we can't deliver. And how do we do it? Is it via land allocation, policy, or a planning obligation through financial contribution? So at the moment, Betsy have not objected to our plan with the LDP in terms of the 4,300 houses, and they've set out this statement of common ground to say, as long as the inspector accepts that statement of common ground, they will not object to the plan. But what we'd have to take on board is additional objections as we get to deposit. So, for example, we would have to take on board Cadogan Surgery's comments that come at deposit, and the inspector would have to take them on board, as well as in linkage to the statement of common ground. So yes, they would all be taken into account, Cheryl.
Thank you very much for that, James. Yes, well, we can trust in our chief exec then to meet with the Betsy chief exec to hammer out this statement of common ground in a more acceptable form for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you very much. So I've got Simon and followed by Kathy online. So Simon.
Yeah, Jack Eryth. Yeah, talking about social care and health, which I'm the chairman of the scrutiny, I did ask the question, where does health come into it? And the answer basically that came back to me was it doesn't. There's no plans for any regular health contribution to my committee, but that's by the by. But questions I'd like to ask, particularly of James, is why is this threshold of 50 dwellings before there's a 106 obligation? We have recently had a planning application in my Rue ward, which is where the West End surgery is, for 56 houses, and surprised that Betsy didn't actually request a 106 contribution for some reason. So, and the other question was, you also mentioned we're consulting the community and feeding that back to Betsy. I'd like to know how this is being done, because it's not coming through councillors as far as I'm aware. And we certainly are on the end of a lot of complaints from members of the public about the lack of facilities, particularly in my ward in the West End. In your presentation, you also said, seemed to say that we would only react after the fact if the development causes congestions as monitored in the local surgery. That does seem to be a somewhat horse before the cart approach. Should we really not be planning and making facilities in advance of there being problems? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Simon. I'll hand straight over to James for a response.
Yeah, I think there were probably, 5 questions there. I'll just start with the first one, which is basically why Betsy in particular are not seeking planning obligations due to certain planning applications coming in. They have every right to raise it in line with policy if they want to, in line with national guidance. We've also got a supplementary planning guidance on planning obligations if they want to suggest there's an impact. What happened previously, as I mentioned before, is that when we produced the current plan, when we liaised with the health board previously, they said we don't feel there is any need for a planning obligation or a land allocation to meet any needs in the future for certain areas. So they've come unstuck because of that issue that they raised previously as part of the examination in public. Things are different now going forward because they are raising issues. They want to clearly get involved in planning obligations in the future and how they can seek an obligation, financial obligation to overcome any impact through the mitigation. So certainly in the future that will happen. In the past, there are areas where they're not really in a position to seek that fund. You mentioned the 50 units as well. The 50 units forms part of the viability assessment for certain sites, but also relates back to national guidance as well. Again, that work will be coming forward as part of separate policies and the viability assessment. So there's an opportunity there to discuss and raise any issues around the threshold of 50 units. You also mentioned the community involvement. The main community involvement council has been around the consultation we've done on the strategic sites and some of the consultation we've done around the call for sites, particularly call for affordable housing sites and a call for housing sites as well. So on the strategic housing sites and particularly the Planning Aid Wales that we've done recently, a lot of the community raised issues around impact on doctor surgeries, impact on dentists, pharmacies, those sort of elements in terms of the health packages overall. So we have fed those back to Betsy as part of this statement of common ground to say, is there an impact? What is the impact and what should we be doing? And is there a planning way of resolving it through any mitigation, be the land policy or financial obligation? I said there were 5 and I can only remember 3. So I can't remember the other 2. I do apologise.
Simon, are you happy with that response? Is anything James has possibly missed out?
The other question really was the reactive thing. Why are we reacting after if we monitor there's a problem in a surgery? I'm quite surprised. I'm not surprised at all that Betsy said everything in the garden was rosy. That sounds very much like Betsy. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously from a planning point of view, we'd love to be going forward to this utopian position where we've looked at all our needs and we've got land and policies and financial obligations to deliver the whole package. But in this case, we don't know what the issues are going to be in the future. And the statement of common ground that's been put forward by Health covers various mechanisms to overcoming capacity issues in the future. That needs to feed its way through the plan over the next 10 years, working with Betsy. So, for example, we're not going to be developing housing in Llanfyddechan for the next 5 years. So when does that impact happen? And when do we phase it against what's going to happen with the statement of common ground working with Health? So as part of our monitoring and implementation plan, we will have a phasing stage which relates to health as well and how that statement of common ground will be delivered. So there will be occasions where in the future we'll be saying, well, actually, capacity hasn't been improved by this statement of common ground. Is it acceptable to bring forward that site? So things will need to change at that point. But as we get to deposit and get to adoption of the plan, they need to be aligned pretty closely. That's key.
Thank you, James, and thanks for that response. Right, I have Cynhoryd Caffi and then Bernice online.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the report and presentation. And a further thank you to Simon for his challenges that I was going to raise, particularly around CIL applying only to developments of 50+ houses. So I was interested to hear James say, I think this is right, that we will be able to contribute to ongoing discussion on this. And I would be, if that is the case, I would be very interested to know how we can actually do that, because we have lots of little odds and ends of development and we're not getting what we need out of that. The West area is covered with figures stating 495 additional people, 360 additional dwellings, but there is still absolutely no healthcare provision whatsoever for the entirety of Pemma Mawr ward, with a current population of over 4,000 and set to increase. So residents are already expected to travel to either Llanfyfechan or Conwy to visit a GP. Both Pemamar and Llanfyfechan are going to be having additional dwellings, yet the key provision that we are discussing for healthcare in the West appears to be the brand new hub in Conwy, which doesn't help my residents in Pemamar. So I realise this report can't address everything. I do realise that it focuses on healthcare, but we do need some kind of holistic, strategic view of how our services fit together for the benefit of our residents. So I am going to say that our transport infrastructure is poor. Travel to a GP surgery at Tut Hill would take maybe hours as a return journey on public transport. Train links for both Pemamar and Conwy are request stops. So how many pensioners or parents with pushchairs would actually stick their hand out to stop the train? Plus the train station at Penn is in dire need of disability upgrades and accessibility for buggies. So my question is quite a broad one. How are we actually and practically going to make effective and sufficient healthcare provision for the West in general and Pemamar in particular? Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. James?
I think, yeah, thanks to Councillor Caffey for the question. I think this has already been covered, to be honest. I think we've already set out quite clearly there are no capacity issues in Dwygyfylchi and Pemamar. The main issues relate to Llanfyfechan, which forms part of the papers that have been put forward today, really, which pretty much says that the Llanfyfechan surgery does require an extension or use of additional rooms within that surgery, and we'd need a planning obligation requirement to that. We are totally reliant on Betsy Cadwell to tell us if there is sufficient capacity within the health system within that area, and they've come back to us to say there is, other than the extension that's potentially required in Llanfyfechan. That's our position, really. And that there is obviously some overlap between patients from Dwygyfylchi going to Conwy as well with regards to the hub and transport implications as well that Councillor Caffey has said. But this report's not here today to discuss obviously access and transport and sustainability.
Okay. Yeah, I've got two more online. I've got Bernice and then Michael Smith. Kathy, I know there was a short answer to that, but obviously, you know, transport is a different issue. And I'm just wondering, any of the issues there that you feel that you could email Dawn, you know, with any questions to Betsy Cadwallader, I'd appreciate. But as I say, I think you responded as well as you can for that area. So over to Bernice.
Sorry, Chair, I'm going on about the health service again, and I apologise to everyone. In Towyn, the majority of complaints I get is Kimmel Bay surgery. They can't get appointments. They're having to go into the surgeries in Rill, and the high percentage of residents from Towyn and Kimmel Bay have to go to Rill. And it is one of the reasons that Betsy Cadwallader A&E is swamped at certain times, because because they're not getting adequate health provision, are going over to Ysbyty Glan-Clwyd. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Not related to this report, but your views are widely shared, Bernice. So thank you very much. Michael Smith online.
Thank you, Chair. It was just really, I was looking over this report, and I can't see whether it would include those developments by our RSLs or with regards to properties that are being brought back from long-term empty that we've been working well with to get them back through our empty homes projects, through our RSLs as well. You know, we're looking at town centre regeneration as well, so looking at the possibility of bringing properties above commercial properties and things like that. So they wouldn't come into the 50 home threshold, so no contributions would come forward, but there would be then you know, a higher population increases in certain areas. So we're just wondering if James could have a moment just to see if those types of properties and those developments through social housing landlords would be for consideration on the health side of things.
Yeah, I'll put that over to James.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think it's raised in the report in terms of the level of growth that we're looking at in terms of housing over the county borough, which is around 4,300 units. That includes permissions, so basically ones that have already been given permission since 2018. It includes commitments, ones that have already been built since 2018, but it also includes windfall. So windfall would also include elements of above shops, other sites that are likely to come forward in town centres, brownfield sites. And our windfall level that's included in our figures is reasonably high. It's around 1,200 units over the plan period. So we already work out what our windfall's been over the period of the plan, and we project that forward, so we don't miss any other sites potentially that may come forward. We also have the monitoring implementation. So if we get to a certain point where we're oversupplying in certain areas, we have to trigger a potential review of the plan. So we already include all those elements as part of the 4,300.
No, thank you. I can see that comment about windfall. I didn't understand what that was, so thank you, James.
Thank you very much. So I've got Councillor Sam online and Gail in, and then Cynhoryd Ros. So Sam online.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that I think it's a real shame that there's no one here from the Health Board to listen to this debate and to listen to all of the concerns that have been raised from across the area, representing various doctor surgeries and representations that were made from the doctor, who it struck me that she was quite surprised or concerned that to learn that there was going to be some sort of branch facility to cater for any overflow in patients in the Old Colwyn area. I appreciate that the Chief Executive is going to have discussions with the Chief Executive from the Health Board, and that's obviously at a high level. But are they realistically going to discuss the minutiae of the impact on each doctor's surgery of mitigating the increases in population that are going to swamp those surgeries? And also, as Councillor Cathy has mentioned, also something that we discuss quite often in the local area forum, that the lack of facilities or the promise of facilities in the future that are still very much pie in the sky. I feel that this, from your part, James, this is a housing policy that you've got to put before us, but actually, yet again, we've been let down by the Health Board, who just, they've said, mitigate with 106 money, it'll need mitigation, blah, 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 blah. But it strikes me that this might come as a bit of a surprise to some of those doctors' surgeries who have got to deal with the influx of patients if and when those houses get built. I appreciate there's probably not a question in there, but I just wanted to make that point.
Thanks, Sam. And yeah, I think what we'll do as well is we'll send the minutes of this meeting to the Health Board, and hopefully that'll capture what you've been saying there. And then obviously if there's anything else you want to add further, please email Dawn if you have any questions for the Health Board. But thank you very much for that. Gail.
Very quick one. Firstly, can I just say, James and the team, I think they're getting a raw end of the stick here because it's the Health Board that are not providing the information for us. One very quick question. I don't think James will know the answer, but any idea, for example, in Old Colwyn, where they would put the surgeries? Because I can't think of anywhere in Old Colwyn where there would be surgeries. There's no buildings that they could be used.
Yeah, I can't specifically obviously say where the site is, but if you look at the statement of common ground, what they do point to is use of community assets. So potentially using schools, community buildings to assist with that capacity issue. They have raised that. They have used that approach in different county boroughs throughout Wales. But that's part of their statement of common ground. Where that happens and how, in particular areas like Colwyn Bay or Colwyn, needs to come through that process.
Yeah, and that'll be for them to discuss that, not us here.
Yeah.
And I'd have you two on the wicket anyway. You know, I mean, you're doing really well. Cynhorydd Ros.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Just a quick question to James, if possible. The report mentions that some of the residents and houses have already been built. I just wondered if it would be possible to have actual figures of that for Abergele so that we can know what possible impact might affect Grief Medical Centre in the future. So I know we've had recent developments at Llanfair Road and so forth. So is it possible for me to have more of an idea of the actual figures that might be coming forward in Abergele Ward? Diolch.
Yeah, Croeso. If the officers haven't got that number to hand, I'm sure you could email the figures. You know, I could see you flicking through some of the notes here. But would you be happy, Ros, if we, you know, they'll get a number and email it to you?
Yeah, diolch. That'd be great.
Croeso. I'd like to once again thank Dr. Emma for coming here today, and I hope you've witnessed a fair debate regarding the issues, and I hope it sort of resonates, you know, what you've heard here from some of the councillors about, you know, well, first off is, you know, thank you very much for the job you do for us, you know, I'd have to say that, and you might have to check my blood pressure after, but I just say, you know, we really appreciate the work you do, and you know, as representatives, you know, in the community, you've heard it here tonight that we share your concerns, and that will certainly go forward via our chief executive. Some of the questions that have come that are going to come through to Dawn. So once again, thank you very much for coming, officers. You know, I think, you know, you've really sort of, as I said, I put you on the wicket. You know, you're answering the questions, and I thank you for the work that you've done. And it just shows that the hard work that's done, that you're answering the questions, you know, as best you can. You haven't got a crystal ball for some of the questions coming from Betsy, but I think in the future we will have the opportunity to ask them questions. I have got recommendations, and they are on page 4, and it's basically. Economy in Place Overview Scrutiny Committee scrutinises the proposals, makes recommendations to Cabinet, subject to consideration of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee's recommendations, that Cabinet approve the proposed RLDP Background Paper 44, Population Change, Housing, Health and Primary Care Impact, recognising the implications for potential policy and land changes in the Replacement Local Development Plan, the RLDP. Also, that delegated authority is given to the head of regulatory, and I want to add something here. I'm proposing putting some words in, which is in consultation with the relevant cabinet member to make minor amendments to the appendices, including site detail once agreed. So I just want that sort of little bit of extra governance in there, that the cabinet member. I'm proposing that as chair. Would anybody second it? Councillor Gale would second that for me. So could I have Cynhorydd Caffi, did you want to say something?
Yeah, there seem to be so many holes in so many questions unable to be answered in this room. Everything pushed towards Betsy Cadwallader to respond. It seems to me that there are huge gaping holes in this, and how can we possibly agree it? I've been told to direct my question to Dawn. She will bundle everything up and send off to Betsy Cadwallader. I've heard that a number of times with a number of questions that we've raised as members on behalf of our residents. I feel insufficiently informed to be able to vote on this right now. I want my answer from whoever. James can't give it, so Betsy Cadwallader, please, before I feel comfortable.
Okay. Okay, I'll. James wants to just come back on that. Councillor Caffi.
If I could, yeah, to be honest, I thought I did answer the question that Councillor Cathy put forward, which was more to do, obviously, with the health implications within the west of the county borough. You know, we don't have any housing allocations coming forward in Dwygyfylchi. We don't have any allocations coming forward in Pemamawa. We know what the allocation is in Llanfyddechan, and we know what the impact of that is in terms of the numbers, in terms of the impact on health. Health Board have clearly set out that implication is that we need to provide up planning obligations to partly redevelop Llanfyddechan doctor's surgery. That is the position. So our position would be at planning that we seek a planning obligation from that site, and that is provided to Betsy Cadwallader to develop the doctor's surgery further. That is the position and the plan for the West in terms of the impact on health. So I think the question has been answered.
Okay, it doesn't serve my residents.
Okay, did I see Councillor Michael Smith with it? Was that an old hand or?
No, it was just to support your proposal, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I think Councillor Gale has done that as well, so I appreciate that. Councillor Sam. Thank you.
Sorry, to go on from what oh God, what's this doing now? Sorry, to go on from what Councillor Cathy has just said, and I know her question was about her ward and that area in particular. Everybody has asked questions in respect of health provision across the county. How do we get the answers to those questions from the Health Board? I haven't asked about Llanrwst in particular, well, at all in this particular meeting, but I want to know about the health provision because we're here to scrutinise a policy that is going to apply to the whole county. So I want to know from the Health Board what the answers to those questions are.
Yeah, that's a fair question,
So
Councillor Sam.
Just at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Come back on that.
I don't know.
Or Councillor Chris.
Can I just come in just as a cabinet member? We know that, you know, Councillor Sam, I'm fully with you on this. We need answers from the Health Board, and I really, I am assured by the Chief Exec, our Chief Exec, that there will be continuing discussions, meetings, consultations with the Health Board Chief Exec and the Senior Regional Manager about our concerns. And as I say, they are coming to a full council meeting, and I'm sure that Chair of Council Sue Shotter will allow us to ask the pertinent questions at that point. But this is a background paper which is policy for the RLDP, and that's what we're considering today, really. You know, I mentioned waiting lists. I mentioned, you know, capacity issues in all sorts of medical facilities that we have in our county, and they are real issues, and we've got to represent our constituents. But can I just bring you back to the background paper and the policy that we've got to adopt to move the RLDP process forward? That would be my plea. Okay, so Councillor Sam, you want to come back?
Sorry, I won't keep doing this. Yeah, sorry, Chris, I absolutely recognise everything that you're saying, and it's not James's fault or his department's fault that they have got to come here and present a report on behalf of only one of the parties involved in producing these figures and contributing to this piece of work. And it's really difficult because, yes, we've got to progress these policies, but actually we've only got half a story at the moment. If we vote for this and then the Health Board come back and they can't give us satisfactory answers to the questions that have been raised, and a question that's been raised by the doctor who was present as well, what sort of policy are we stuck with then if it doesn't satisfy what we want it to do? I mean, I know it's been terribly difficult, but I would propose that this is deferred until we actually get the response from the health board, and we can marry that information in with this report. I'm sorry to do that.
Okay, that's Cynhora Caffi.
Yeah, of course, echoing what Sam has just said, we're talking about policy, but that will in the end govern planning decisions. So I am very happy to second Councillor Sam Cotton's proposal amendment, whatever we categorise it as. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, fair comment, and I'll bring in Matt just to give us a bit of guidance on that, how we take that forward. I take it on board that we have a proposer to defer, Councillor Sam, and seconded by Councillor Caffi. So, Matt.
Well, Chair, that's been proposed and seconded. I think I would reiterate what James has already explained, which is clearly this is a background paper, which is an evidence base towards producing a policy that's part of the deposit plan, and there will then be a completely separate process whereby there's an investigation into that plan and to test the evidence behind the deposit plan. So I mean, it's just to point out that there is a process for raising other issues if people want to speak to the inquiry about things that they consider are lacking. And we've also, Chair, said that we will send the minutes of this meeting to the Health Board in order that any points of clarity can be sought, or in fact to clarify any matters that relate to further evidence that we think might be missing, which we can do. So I think if I could just ask James to just confirm that my understanding there is correct, and that's what we're talking about here today, before we obviously take a decision on whether or not we're essentially going to delay the plan process.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, I totally agree. So from our point of view, what we're here today is to set out what the impact is from population and housing growth and what mitigation is potentially required through increasing the health capacity through the LDP. We now need to go away from this report and then start to draft the policies and come forward with a deposit plan, which is going to be subject to 8 weeks consultation. That's when there's a statutory consultation for everyone to get involved and make their comments around any issues. So there is some work to do still working with Betsy Cadwallader in terms of maybe gathering more assurances to the statement of common ground. But it's very unlikely that Betsy are going to add any greater assurance to what we have in the statement of common ground, but everyone will have their opportunity through the deposit consultation later this year.
Thank you, James, for that clarification. Councillor Hannah.
I think we're asking some really important questions here, but I think we're possibly asking them at the wrong time. I think this is about the numbers of houses, who's going to be living in those houses, and whether there is physically a big enough space to have a GP surgery. I think it's been established that West End has a physically big surgery. It's there. It's more than adequate for providing for our area if there were people in the rooms, and that's the issue. And I don't think, as Bryn said right at the beginning, we can't bring staffing into this because we're actually looking at land use and we're looking at the numbers of houses, unless I've got the complete wrong end of the stick, but I've got people nodding here. So I think there's some really valid questions being asked of our provision, of our GP provision, but we have this paper is about the physical buildings, and we've established that Cadogan is at its limit and that there is definitely an issue in that area, in that catchment. But we've established that West End is not, it has got capacity in that it has space. It just unfortunately doesn't have enough GPs to be in that space. And that is a separate forum, a separate set of questions that must be and should be asked of Betsy. But it's not that it's particular to just this area. There's a shortage of GPs all over the country. So I think we're getting quite passionate, quite rightly, about these things, and as Kathy was talking about access from her area, but I'm not quite sure that that's a reason to defer this particular paper, because this particular paper is dealing with the numbers of houses, the numbers of potential people, and are the physical buildings big enough, or is there potential land that we're looking at developing, such as the area in Conway? And I'm still getting nods. So just my two penneth to try in and keep us on track. I'm quite keen that we don't slow down our LDP process, because I'm quite keen that we get to the next stages so that we can consult on more information and stuff that is particularly valuable to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hannah. Kathy?
Yeah, final input as seconder of Councillor Sam's suggested motion. I would ask, when is the right time then, Councillor Hannah, if not when we're talking about health and housing? This is our opportunity to scrutinise. That's why we're here. We can't add the houses and then worry about healthcare afterwards. We're talking about policy. I really do not want our CCBC policy to be built on sand, or to be built on on foundations with great big gaps in them. That's all I'm saying. If the answer is to forge ahead and worry about the details later, I can't vote for that.
I'm just going to allow Hannah to come back on that, Councillor Caffey.
I go back to that this paper is about physical land use and housing. I would also counter that my family are all members of West End Surgery, and they are no longer wanting to all live in the same house with me for some reason. My children, now young adults, are looking to need accommodation, and so they do need the housing to be available for them at an affordable price, but they don't increase the numbers of people going to West End Surgery. So I think maybe that helps explain what was said by James and Vin earlier, when just because you have an additional houses doesn't necessarily mean that these people are coming in from elsewhere. They're people that already exist in quite a lot of those circumstances. And I agree, Kathy, we do need to be asking these difficult questions, but I don't understand the logic in deferring a paper that's an evidence paper on the background to do with land use. I think we need to look at maybe talking to our chief executive, who we've already had Councillor Chris saying is going to be meeting on a regular basis with the chief executives of Betsy. And I think maybe that's where we should be, being more active and having that communication going on there. And that would seem to me a more appropriate place than a discussion on land use. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to try and sort out this now by going to a vote. So I'm going to I'm taking no more speakers now. I am in agreement with what I've just heard from Councillor Hannah as the chair. I've also listened to what Matt, James, Bryn and the cabinet member has said, and I don't see what we're going to get out of if we defer, if we recommend deferral, because ultimately this is going to be a cabinet decision when it goes to cabinet, and if the vote goes through that this paper is deferred, what specific reasons are we saying why we need to defer it? So if I could just say to let's have a look. It was proposed by Councillor Sam that we defer on what grounds, Sam?
Yes.
Yeah, this, the information, specific information that we're waiting for, that a deferral will, make sense.
Okay, I think we need our questions answered by the health board. I appreciate that this is about land use, but there are points in this paper that refer to branch surgeries, which currently don't exist. That the health hub for Conway, which currently doesn't exist. there are over subscription of surgeries in the old Colwyn Bay areas and also further down the coast. So I think, and the words that are always used are evidence-based, evidence. So I don't believe that we have the evidence from the health board that supports this policy. And as I said before, it's a real shame that the health board aren't here, because I appreciate that James and the team there have got to, present their housing aspect and land aspect of it, and do their, pick the bones out of whatever the health board have said. But I don't think it's satisfactory as it is at the moment. And that's what I would say. I'd like to hear the board. Thank you.
Okay. Just quickly, Gail, go on.
I'm sorry, I'm withdrawing my second because I don't like the deferring. I think we need to get some information back before this becomes policy.
Thank you for that.
Sorry.
What I will do, I'll let Councillor David come in, and I really need to go to a vote here. So Councillor David, I did say I wasn't taking any more, so if I could leave you to the last speaker on this issue, please.
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak, Chair. Yeah, the point that I made earlier, particularly in the area of Old Colwyn, is that the mitigation is not adequate. And I think it's very nice that the Chief Executive, our Chief Executive, and the Chief Executive of Betsy Quads are going to meet and have coffee together. That's not going to put down concrete proposals. So, really that's what we want. We want concrete proposals that's going to make the mitigation that's put in the report adequate. It's not adequate at the moment. It's not adequate for Old Colwyn. I said I don't think it's adequate for other areas either. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, David. So as we sit here now, I've had Councillor Gale has taken away the seconder for the proposal by Sam that we defer.
No, sorry, Chair. It was me who seconded that, and I am not withdrawing my seconding.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Kathy, yeah, that's fine. So Councillor Gale has withdrawn, so I'm now asking for a seconder again.
Myself, Chair, I'm happy with that.
So Michael Smith, you're happy to second that we defer?
No, I'm seconding yourself.
Oh, right. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, Chair.
So I want to take. So we've got Councillor Caffey has asked for a deferral, proposed deferral, and that was seconded by Sam.
No, the other way around.
Yeah,
Chair.
thank you. I'm getting that. Right, for clarity, for deferral, I'll just go straight to the vote. All those in favour of deferring this report, please show your hands. Okay, that's 8 online, 1 in the room. Yeah. All those against deferral? Okay, so the deferral's been carried. Thank you very much, councillors. If I can go next to, yes, I'll let you, Chris, go on.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And I respect that vote. The thing is that yes, that we are now completely in Betsy Cadwallader's hands, really. If you're expecting, answers to all these questions, I would say that present problems really can't be part of the plans that we're going forward. So if you're saying, well, we delay the whole replacement local development plan process because we want to sort out, for instance, a new medical practice in Pembermount, which has existing problems, but we are not planning any new housing there, then we do have a problem. So I just want to point that out to elected members.
Thank you, Councillor Chris. And can I just point out that this is a recommendation from this scrutiny to Cabinet, where you will have the opportunity to discuss and make a decision on. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, councillors. A good debate and some great views coming across. So if we go to the next item, which is the replacement local development plan, RLDP, background paper number 45, and that's the population change, education impact and mitigation. You can find this paper on pages 40 to 107. I'm again asking Councillor Chris Cater if he could introduce the item, and then it'll be over to James and Bryn for this. So over to you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this is consider the education impact and mitigations. The second report this evening presents background paper 45, and it has received support at our strategic planning group, and you can see it includes extensive evidence-based information. So it details the RLDP growth options, the potential impact on education services, and outlines the policy, land allocation and safeguarding, existing site implications, and Section 106 contribution approach towards mitigation. So that's all in line with the Sustainable Communities for Learning programme, which was passed at Cabinet the other day. Appended to the report is a statement of common ground, and this is between the strategic planning policy service and our own education services. The consultation section in the report confirms that the production of the background paper has involved extensive collaboration, engagement and consultations with our own education services, the Education and Strategic Planning Group, our own Estates Department, and of course, elected members, Chair. The background paper was presented at the recent RLDP update sessions for elected members that we had in Coedpella and the town and community councils. The reports is specifically to identify the impacts and mitigation measures required over the period, and we're talking about 2018-2033. It's not the intention of this report to discuss specific sites, Chair, as this will come at the deposit stage later this year. Also, can I remind members that the remit of the replacement local development plan is the physical infrastructure, not staffing issues, and obligations from developers cannot be sought to remedy any existing shortfall. So again, I must thank the officer teams involved. A review of each school provision has taken place, every school in the county, and our own education services have produced a 5-year projection for each school. Elected members can be reassured that the goal is that monitoring will continue annually over the plan period, and flexibility will be built into the policies so education can deliver the most appropriate scheme for a particular area. Thank you, Chair. I'll hand over to Bryn Cuffin and James.
Thank you very much. We've got a presentation here. Councillor Keyfields, you got your hand up. Is there something you need to come in before the presentation?
Thank you, Chair. No, it's okay. I can wait until after the presentation.
Okay.
It is relevant. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Just go through this presentation quite rapidly. It is very similar to very similar to the previous one in terms of the amount of houses, population projections over the plan period, what the issues are, where they are with the schools, the capacity issues with various schools, and what we propose to do in terms of mitigation, allocating land or safeguarding land to extend schools or build new schools. So just quickly go through a few of these slides, which we've already seen. So again, in terms of section 106 financial contributions, we can seek from the developers. Again, as Councillor Chris just said, it's not staffing. It's very similar to the health presentation, and it's all based on financial viability, not remedying existing deficiencies and the like. So the report goes through the projections, the amount of dwellings, including commitments from 2018 again, and the number of pupils, estimated number of pupils, where the capacity issues are in certain of the certain strategic areas, and you can see from the report what we're proposing to do. So in terms of Llanfairpwllgwyngyllgogerychwyrndrobwllllantysiliogogogoch, which is one of our strategic sites, we realise there's serious capacity issues there. So we're proposing to allocate part of the strategic site for a new school. In other areas where we have strategic sites, such as Llanrose, we can Ysgol-de-Gamway, which has capacity issues. We can. There has been a planning application approved, and there is space there to extend the school to cater for the additional need there. So it's all explained in the report in terms of the mitigation we're proposing. We've got the statement of common ground, which has been agreed with our education colleagues. Keep going through. Sorry, I'm a bit slow here. It's not working. Yeah, so I'll just get through to the general statement at the end, which is obviously we've got the additional needs as well provision, and it should be noted here that I put in bold that you know the pupil numbers will also include well, it's an estimated pupil numbers for each site, and it also includes people who are already educated in those schools. They might not choose to attend their closest catchment area, which again catchment in various areas has been a problem. They may choose Welsh medium, or they may need additional learning needs provision. They may not attend a council school, and they may choose to be schooled either at home or out of county. So a number of issues to look at, you know, very similar to the previous discussion. So in terms of our approach, again, positive planning policies to support new education facilities. We will allocate land where needed, or safeguard land where extensions to schools are required. Capacity will be monitored throughout the process as per usual, and then mitigation in terms of section 106 contributions. So that's it really, and there's the recommendations at the end.
Thank you very much for that. As you say, is quite a bit of repetition from the last report, and we accept that. Keith, Councillor Keith.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Thank you for this. I thank you again to Bryn and James for such a good report. I know you're going to cop the flack again for basically doing your job, what you have to do with the RDLDP. I just feel a little bit. I know we're being pushed into this by the Welsh Government for housing, and I understand we need housing. But when we have the additional housing for Abergele and Llandylus, we're over 70 odd extra pupils projected. We can't use the basis that they are already in the schools, because these are all waiting for planning permission and various sites for windfall and things like that. So this could be an actual figure of children coming forwards. When it's said that Section 106 money for schools will be granted or put in the planning, basically going back to the Fairview site in Llandylus, when that was built, it's the Section 106 money came through. I think from memory it was about 10,000, but it generated 3 extra children in the school. But the money from the Section 106 was it wasn't enough to do anything to the school to help with the overcapacity of the children, because even a mobile classroom cost more than what the Section 106 money came in at. So all these statements of there be money coming forward, it doesn't really mean a lot if the schools can't put a mobile classroom or anything in. And talking about the Abergele schools and Llandilla schools, they've all been taken off the Band B now for new schools to build bigger schools. So they're already at capacity. There could be another 77 children turning up based on the figures here. The Section 106 money is sort of insufficient or wouldn't be used because it's been identified that new schools are required for Abergele. So obviously, James and Bryn, you've got a job to do, and this is what we have to discuss tonight. But is there any way that the Welsh Government, if we reduce the amount of houses based on the fact that their money is not coming forward to build new schools, their money is not coming forward to create a better infrastructure, how could they force us to take the 4,000 odd houses if the schools are inadequate and we haven't got the money to rebuild them because they're not paying for that either? So I know we're at a bit of a catch here, but are these school capacities, especially in Abergele and Llandillas, which I know about, but I'm not familiar with the rest of the county, but can we just not reduce the numbers of houses based on the fact that the education, especially education for young learners, the money is just not there, or the new schools? And could they bounce this back out if you do put a lower number of houses in? Sorry, I'm getting really sorry, I'm getting a bit het up with this. Not at you, James or Bryn, at the situation that we've been pushed into by the Welsh Government with the policies. So could we, only one question really, could we bounce this out with less housing?
I'll put that to James and you'll get your response, Keith.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Firstly, we're not really in a position to reduce the housing number. It's not a figure that's given to us by Welsh Government, and that's said a lot, in particular by members, and it has been said in the past. The number comes from our own projections, what's happening with the population in the future. It also relates to what's happening in terms of our needs for affordable housing. And obviously, it's a big priority for this authority is to increase affordable housing levels, and the impact that the LDP has on that is going to be quite significant when we're looking at around 2,000 new affordable housing units that come through that through the plan itself. So it's not, there's a lot of balancing to be done in terms of the priorities for this council, as well as obviously the impact it's potentially going to have on education. So we're not really in a position, because it's based on evidence again, it's based on the population projections, what's happening in the future. We would have to go to an examination of public and say, this is what's happening to our population. The inspector will say, well, what are you doing to deliver it? And what are you doing to deliver your other priorities? So we have to balance that in terms of what the impact is on the schools and what we have to do in terms of the mitigation for schools. So for the allocations within the east of the county borough is extremely low. We haven't got any allocations at all from Llandillas, Abergele, all over to the east because of the issues we have, in particular with the highways and our needs for affordable housing. Most of our needs are in the central area and in the Craven area. So the number of allocations anyway, and the impact it's likely to have on schools is minimal. So that's what we've done in terms of working with education, with a 9-year plan in terms of the Sustainable Communities plan that's currently just gone through the political process. We've worked with education to say, well, actually, if there is sites coming forward, or there are sites potentially coming forward, if they're windfall sites, because the majority are going to be windfall, then could we, in effect, support secondary and primary schools through the planning obligation? They've taken that into account of what potential monies could come forward in terms of the 9-year plan and sustainable communities as well. So we feed into that. Again, the other issue you mentioned around the £10,000, and I think you said there was, I think it was 3 pupils in terms of the impact. We raised this under the previous item. We cannot contribute, or we cannot take funds from developers to deal with existing capacity issues. We can only generate funds based on what the impact of that development is. So we would look at what the number of houses are and take that fund towards it. We would then work with education and say, is that acceptable? And in the majority of the occasions, what's supported in this report, education agree with what the allocations are and what the growth levels are and how we're dealing with it. Bryn has already set out that, you know, we are looking at safeguarding lands up in Llysfine in terms of Sŵn y Don. We are looking at allocations in the Llanfyfechan area, and we're also looking at supporting new schools in those areas through planning obligations and through policy where they may come up in the future. At the moment, our only impact is set out in this report. They are clearly set out what our numbers are, what our impact are, and what we have to do to mitigation. That's hopefully that answers the question anyway.
Yeah, Keith.
Yeah, thank you, James. Yeah, I do understand that. I know you spent time in the past with me explaining this as well, but it doesn't make it any less easier to swallow. Again, it's mainly directed at the policies coming from Cardiff, to be honest with you, because 3 pupils here, 2 pupils there, another 3 somewhere else. It all adds up. But 77 prospective pupils, it's 2/3 of what is in Llandulus, which is now already over at capacity. There's also migration in the houses that come available from people who've either passed away, gone into a home, or moved out the area. So again, it's also the numbers that fall under the radar through general movement of people. So thank you anyway, James. I do understand that and appreciate you explaining it as well. And everybody else has got a bit of a gist of why and how you get to the figures. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Keith. Thanks, James. Is Councillor Simon Croft online?
Yeah, Chair. Just a general sort of question about Councillor Chris' statement at the beginning. We're not allowed to use any Section 106 monies for staffing. We're only allowed to use it for land. Is that land, or are we talking about facilities, including setup costs, building costs, for instance, for another surgery or another school classroom or that type of thing? Is it everything but staffing? Now the other question.
Oh,
so I could just do the one first.
Yeah, no, go for your second question, and I'll bring
second question
Councillor Chris in.
Second question was, up to now, we've talked about the growth levels since 2018, if I'm correct, certainly in the previous section. I don't know whether the levels, those numbers apply to the anticipated growth here, but surely if we're talking about 2018, those are current pupils now, because some of that growth will have already occurred, but we're not allowed to get any money, put any money towards that growth that's already occurred. Am I understanding this right? Thank you.
I'll ask Councillor Chris to come in on the first point.
Thank you, Councillor Simon. And yes, it is. If there's an extension that needs to be built on existing school, that's included. Or if we need a brand new school, or if we need to safeguard land in the future for probable requirements, then that is all part of it. So yeah, it's to provide improvements to. I'm just thinking, Chair of Ysgol Ganwy, that's just had planning permission for quite a large extension, new hall, and all the rest of it. So it would include that that provision.
Thank you. Over to James, the second part.
Yeah, so any developments that have taken place since 2018 are included in the figures. So we would assume that those pupils are already attending schools, and those applications would have received planning obligations from 2018 to this point anyway, and they'll be set out in the Section 106 reports that we produce.
Thank you, James. I've got Councillor Michael Smith.
Sorry, Chair, no, it's okay.
Okay, thanks for that, Michael. I don't see any other raised hands at this point. It's Councillor Sam.
Yeah, sorry, Chair, just very quickly. Councillor Chris, I think, has just referred to Ysgol Ganwy, which was part of the 21st Century Schools programme, and does have planning permission. But we don't know where the funding's coming from as yet to satisfy those improvements to the school. I don't know if James or anybody here is able to say whether the improvements to the school are reliant upon any potential 106 money that might come from a development in Llanrwst. Thank you.
James.
yes, they would be. They'd be partly and phased, depending on the capacity at that time, because we know over time of the LDP that pupil numbers are decreasing. But we will look to phase where it relates to the extension to that school and where it relates to planning obligations as well. That will be in our planning, our implementation and monitoring plan, which will be sit alongside the deposit.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sue Shotter.
Thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me to speak today. Councillor Sam has asked part of my question, but my other question about the Clanraw site is, I assume Ysgol de Ganwy isn't the catchment area for this new development. Is that correct? Sorry, did anybody hear my question?
Yeah, Councillor Sue, yeah, got your question, and I'm just handing over to James now.
Thank you.
That's correct.
So my second part of that question is, do we know how far away the Clanhorse development will be from Ysgol y Mynydd on a mileage?
I don't, but you've asked that question before. I don't know the exact mileage, but yeah, I assume in terms of sustainability, accessibility to that school. Obviously, Clanraw, some of those pupils would potentially attend Llandudno, some may attend de Ganwy, some may attend Awlamore. The thing is, we have no control over where those pupils go, and the catchment isn't in effect managed tightly. So it's very difficult to determine. And from Llanrwst in particular, we have 150 units, which is likely to generate about 25 children. Of those 25 children, not all will be going to Awlamore or de Ganwy. Some of them will be going to different schools. So I'll say there's 25 children that are generated from there. I think Bryn wants to come in, if that's okay, Chair.
Sorry. Yeah, I think we had this discussion at the SPG group, but it's similar to the sort of catchment issues with health, really. That the reason Ysgol de Ganwy, for example, is at capacity is because pupils are going there from outside the catchment area. So, I mean, we have to look at the catchments as well and make sure that the kids are attending the right school, and you know, that's a very important issue.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. My question was really around the school, home to school transport. I mean, we have a massive problem as it is already, but are we just intensifying another problem by making this development outside the 3-mile catchment area? So we will be responsible to actually pay for these children to go to Ysgol y Mynydd and back again. That's just a little question that I was just a bit concerned about. And I do appreciate all the hard work that you are putting into this. Thank you very much, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Sue. I don't know, is there a response really to that? I think maybe...
Not really, Chair.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I think obviously once the Ganwy extension is built, they have every opportunity to go to that extension anyway without the use of home to school transport. Any home to school transport issue has been discussed with education and it's fed into their plans. We wouldn't be seeking any planning obligation as such towards any home school transport. That would be for an education issue.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any more hands. So if I look at the recommendations that are on page 41, in particular A and B, which is to approve the proposed RLDP background paper 45, population change, housing, education impact, recognising the implications for potential policy and land changes in the replacement local development plan. The next recommendation is that delegated authority be given to the head of regulatory services. Again, I'm a bit of a stickler. I would like to propose that a slight amendment that says in consultation with relevant cabinet members, and to make minor amendments to the appendices, including site detail, once agreed. Councillor Bernice.
Sorry, I was just going to second you, and I assume you're going to say
thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I take that slight amendment. It's just proposed it, yeah. Okay. So I'll go straight to the vote on this, councillors. So the recommendations, as I said, are on page 41, and with the amendment of the in consultation with the relevant cabinet member. Could I have a show of hands on that, please? All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That's carried unanimous. So thank you very much. Just leaves me to say good night to everyone, and those in the chamber have a good, safe ride home. So thank you very much, everyone. Good night. North Star.